Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. Let me congratulate the Right Honourable Gentleman for securing this debate and for everyone who has spoken. It was Václav Havel, Madam Deputy Speaker, who said that the best defence against tyranny is to live in truth. And so on this third anniversary, we have the opportunity to repeat some truths to this House, that Ukraine is a democracy, that democracies need defending, and the best way to defend democracies is for democratic nations to come together with a unity of purpose around our values. Now, we should not have to remind the world that Ukraine is a democracy, that some have impugned it. And yet we know in this House that at times all democracies face challenges. Let's be honest, this country once had to suspend elections during the height of World War II. Gosh, I am even old enough to remember when thousands of people invaded the United States Congress because they wanted to overturn a democratic election there and nullify the result and the election of President Biden. So let us be very clear, Madam Deputy Speaker, and send a message from this House that we do not regard President Zelensky as a dictator. We regard President Zelensky as a hero of democracy, and we in the West should have his back. Second, we have to remember that at times democracies will need defending, especially against dictators, especially when it comes to Russia. President Zelensky is on the front line of an effort to recontain Russia on behalf of all of us. Russia is a country that invades its neighbours time and time and time again. They have been invading their neighbours since the days of Ivan the Terrible. They have been invading their neighbours on 8 different occasions since 1945. They have invaded their neighbours on average once every decade since the end of the Second World War. Faced with that threat, why on earth would we make concessions now? 700,000 people have been lost in this war in Russia. Russia now faces a NATO that is bigger and stronger. Russia is going to run out of T-80 tanks in April. They have lost more artillery systems in the last year than in the previous 2 years put together. Russia, at the height of the war, controlled 19.6% of Ukrainian territory. Today, they control less, 19.2%. In the face of that weakness, why on earth would we make concessions now to those who want to make Russia great again? We should confront them with strength and not weakness, because that is how peace is secured. The final point I just wanted to make, Madam Deputy Speaker, is that it is vital for us across the West now to unite around our values and to celebrate those values and not to attack each other. I am worried that what began as political improvisation in the United States has now become, under the new president, a political project. And I am worried about some of the noises that I hear that sound like, frankly, the report that Thucydides made of the Athenian threat all those centuries ago, that the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must. Well, in this country, we know how that story ends. When we talk about the rules-based order, we don't mean the rules of the poker table. What we mean is not simply the rules that we set out at the end of World War II. We don't simply believe in a rules-based order, we believe in a rights-based order. The rights that ensure our freedom, that were enshrined in the UN Declaration on Human Rights at the end of World War II and in the and in the Council of Europe Convention on Human Rights, co-authored by this country based on Churchill's great vision of a great charter. Those are the rights that we should be celebrating because they mean freedom for all of us. Now, those rights, those values, those freedoms have to be defended with strength. And so the Prime Minister's decision to increase defence spending was right. This House will need reassurance that money can be well spent. But crucially, given the cuts that are now involved to the aid budget, we must think hard, creatively and quickly about how we now lead a great multilateral effort to increase the amount of aid spending around the world. We need to think in this 80th anniversary of the Bretton Woods institutions how we reinvent the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund for new times so that they are bigger and better in the world to come. That is the way that we become evangelists for the rights that are now being defended so valiantly by Ukrainian forces on the continent of Europe.